Welcome to Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and a dash of hope collide nightly like a Trevor Story strikeout. We cover every loss, every meltdown, and yes, even the rare win, with brutally honest takes and zero front office fluff. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com or risk being left out in the cold like a home game in April. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I'm your host tonight, Jim Dalfino. Now, let's just be honest. If I were a Yankee, my batting average would be about 112. My defense would be 3 errors a night, and my best highlight would be me tripping over my own shoelaces while trying to field a routine grounder. I'm basically the Ben Rice of hosting. 1 minute, I'm airmailing a throw to center field, and the next, I'm somehow cranking a 419-foot bomb and pretending I meant to do it. Hosting this show is the equivalent of watching the Yankees bullpen in the ninth, terrifying, sloppy, and somehow still entertaining for the wrong reason. Tonight, joining me is Nick Bates. Nick hates losing so much that if he were on the Yankees right now, he'd already have fired Aaron Boone, the hitting coach, the bullpen catcher, and probably the guy who sells overpriced hot dogs in Section 208. Nick is so passionate that when a fan on Twitter disagrees with him about a lineup decision, he treats it like Game 7 of the ALCS. If Nick Face managed the Yankees, their biggest problem wouldn't be the defense. It would be finding a mute button strong enough to contain him during the post-game press conference. Also joining us tonight is Nick Diamond. Nick's the guy who knows the game so well, he doesn't even need to yell. He just cut you down with a one line that hits harder than a Roman Anthony moonshot. If Nick were in the Yankees dugout, he'd have Aaron Boone's job by the third inning because Boone would have already have ejected Diamond's sarcasm alone. Nick doesn't just watch a game, he diagnoses it. He's the guy who will tweet, "This bullpen move is going to blow up in 2 batters." And sure enough, 2 batters later, the Yankees are coughing up the lead like it's allergy season in the Bronx. He's got that uncanny knack for pointing out the obvious, the stuff everyone else is too dumb or stubborn to say. And the worst part is he's right 99% of the time. So if Nick ever wore pinstripes, he wouldn't need to swing a bat. He'd just stand on the dugout steps, call out what's wrong, and watch the meltdown happen in real time. The man doesn't argue with Yankee fans. He buries them under the weight of reality. And honestly, there's more damage than Stanton's ever done with a bat. So let's get into it. Your Boston Red Sox are now 70-58. Sitting 4.5 games currently behind the division-leading Blue Jays and a half game behind the Yankees for the top AL wildcard spot. Tonight, the Red Sox beat the Yankees 1-0 in a game that set offense back about 50 years. I'm not sure if I was watching a baseball game or a 9-inning corporate meeting about synergy. Both teams looked like they had never seen a bat before. It was an absolute masterclass in how not to score runs. Then, after 6 innings that felt like a citywide power nap, a miracle happened in the 7th. Connor Wong, probably by accident, hit a baseball. This double scored Nathaniel Lowe, who seemed just as surprised as anyone to be touching home plate. The single run was more run than anyone in the stadium deserved to see. The Yankees, in response, saw this act of offense and decided to stick with their brilliant strategy of swinging at pitches in the dirt. The only person who seemed to remember how to play baseball was Brayan Bello. He made the Yankees hitters look like they were trying to swap bees with a pool noodle. Trevor Story also flashed some leather with a slick double play, giving us a brief 10-second highlight in an otherwise endless void of pop-ups and strikeouts. For a moment, it almost looked like a real game. Nick Face, let's start with you tonight with our segment, Nick Face's Word of the Day.
And now it's time for Nick Face's Word of the Day.
Little drum roll, please. Actually, let's crack it open, gents. Today's word of the day, squirrel. That was pretty funny on how that squirrel came right after all those Yankee players out there, almost as if he was their manager, saying, "Get your acts together because you're all a bunch of bums playing for the Yankees." I thought it was so ironic and funny how that thing was out there on the mound and just giving it all to those players out there. That was pretty funny. All in all, it's one of those moments in sports, you have a lot of different things when animals are there. I'll never forget as a kid when Randy Johnson destroyed that poor pigeon. That kind of was what I was thinking about on all these different things. If a cat or a dog or a squirrel or a bird gets stuck on the field, we had the squirrel tonight, and boy oh boy was that squirrel super lucky for the Red Sox, and ended up giving us the 1-0 victory. So thanks, Plays with Squirrels. If anybody knows that's a reference, that's from Boy Meets World.
Yeah, I'm a little bit partial to Christmas Vacation myself, but Nick Diamond, let me have
That's another
your
one.
Nick Diamond. Let's go ahead and get your um, review of tonight's ball game.
If you told me the Red Sox would win a 1-0 game in this series, I'd tell you absolutely not. I think that'd be crazy. So that's a nice surprise to begin with. If you told me there'd be up 2-0 to begin this series, I'd be super hyped. But one of my biggest takeaways here is a guy who's grown up in South Florida for most of my life here. Why are we stopping games for a squirrel? It's just a squirrel. Let's play baseball. It's not like it's an alligator on the field. Let's just play baseball.
Mhm.
Like, he's not going to
Now
kill you.
that
It's a
would've
squirrel. Throw the ball. Let's play ball.
It had
It's a
rabies.
squirrel. It's not a big deal. It's not an alligator. It's not a
Crack it
crocodile.
open.
It's not a big deal. Let's play baseball.
Squirrel boy.
I don't care about the squirrel. I love 1-0 wins, but I think that was kind of a stupid thing to go nuts about tonight. We watched more of the squirrel than we watched the baseball game.
Well, he did eat
Definitely
a
of the
peanut, so at
Yankees.
least he got his. At least he
We
got
saw
his
that, yeah,
protein.
on the warning track. He did eat a peanut.
Yeah, so he got his
yeah,
protein on that.
yeah.
All seriousness aside, let's go. Let's get into some brass tacks here. Nick Diamond, break down Brayan Bello for me. I mean, do you think this was probably his best performance this season, or even in a Red Sox uniform?
I'm going to say yes. I know you can argue that he had a 9-inning performance about a month and a half ago where he went 9 innings, 1 run, or I think it was a 2-run home run in the 9th inning he gave up. But yeah, you can argue between those two starts. I think Brayan Bello faced a good team tonight, and he went out there and performed. It was 1 walk, 3 hits, uh, barely gave up any base runners. He looked good all night. He was pretty good. So I was very impressed with how Brayan Bello performed. I know he's had good stats against the Yankees in the past, so that's always an encouraging sign for a guy to go out there, grew up in the Red Sox organization, and still pitch good against the Yankees. But right now we're probably going to rely on Brayan Bello. If we make the playoffs, that's your number 2 guy. So you like to see these starts out of him against the good teams. So I'm very encouraged by that. Um, if we look back 2-3 years ago, how we were talking about Brayan Bello as a minor leaguer, this guy could be an ace. He was working with Pedro Martinez. I'm still a little bit disappointed, but if this is Brayan Bello going forward, I'm happy with it. This is a 2-3 starter. This is a guy you can plug in. He can throw 175 innings, and I'm happy with it. I'm not going to be disappointed in a Brayan Bello like this going forward ever.
No, I don't know how you could be. I mean, to your point, the Yankees may not be the Yankees of what they were years ago, especially when, you may have been a real younger guy. You know, we talked about it on the podcast last night. These are just not your parents' Yankees anymore. At the same time, though, it still is starstruck and awe and nervousness when you're going to be in front of 40,000 screaming fans in Yankee Stadium. So hats off to Brayan Bello for containing himself, staying within himself, and throwing arguably one of the better games he's had. I know you referenced the 9-inning game, but you know what? Everything's taken up a notch when you're facing some team like the Yankees or maybe the Mets or Phillies or so forth. But to go 7 innings, 3 hits, I think what I was actually most encouraged by was just the 1 walk over the 92 pitches. So that was the important part there. He didn't give free passes. There were no free outs really, and you contain guys that you needed to contain. Aaron Judge hitless again, Corey Bellinger hitless, Chisholm hitless. So those are the guys that you got to make sure that you keep off the bases. Nick Face, your reaction to Brayan Bello's start? How did you take his start tonight?
Here is, well, I'm not going to say the word of the day, but here is the statement that I will make right now here if playoffs were to begin for the Red Sox. Brayan Bello is officially your number 2 starter in your playoff rotation if we get to that point. I have gotten to the point where I have confidence with him and I have trust in knowing that he's going to give you a quality start when he goes out there. I'm going to go back to, I think it was a couple weeks ago that I talked about the difference in Bayo's maturity and the reason why we've seen a difference in him versus past seasons. Once again, Bayo did not have his family here for visa reasons when he was a Red Sox. He didn't. He didn't have his wife, his kids, all that thing going on. And that can be a really tough time for a professional player, no matter what, and no matter if even or just a regular person, not having your support that's there to get you mentally into your profession, your job, your anything. That had to be so tough on him. He does have that this season. His family's with him, and I think that that's a huge step in his development here in having that support around him and knowing that he has everything he needs to be a successful pitcher here with the Red Sox. I think it's a huge point, and I think that's something that we should hit home here in making sure that people know that he has support now. His family's here, and I think mentally he's in the best spot he's ever been as a Red Sox, and we can finally fully see all the hype and all the talk and all the chatter that we were hearing over the years about all the promising things that Bello was gonna develop into. It was huge. The other thing I look at here is Bello's getting into the category here of being a Yankee killer. He is. I know it's 4-3 as a record, but in terms of ERA and quality starts and being effective, it's getting into the territory here of having full trust when he faces the Yankees. Now, we talked about this last night. Thayer hit it out of the park when he said, "This isn't the 2004 Yankees. This isn't the 2007 Yankees. This isn't the 99, the 98 Yankees. This Yankees team is not very good, and they are much more dumb, crazy to say it, than your 2025 Red Sox. It's incredible. I mean, we complain and see every night the Red Sox doing something that makes us frustrated. I actually feel for the Yankee fans right now and having to stomach what they have to put through with some of these guys they have on their roster. I guess sometimes you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, boy, glad I'm not them. I'll gladly take a few players from them, but overall as a team, yeah, I'll take the Red Sox. Yeah, the Red Sox got the upper hand big time, and now they go to 7-1 on the season against the Yankees. That's a big, huge difference right there in terms of getting the job done and not getting the job done.
Well, yeah, you win the season series against the Yankees now, which puts you into a really important position when and if it comes really close to any kind of tiebreaker in that league. But getting to your point a little bit more about Yankee fans and their misery, there's an old saying, go into a circle with 7 or 8 of your closest friends and family members, throw all your problems in the middle of a circle, you'll want to take yours back. So that's just how life
I
is.
had more faith in the Squirrel doing something for the Yankees tonight. I really did.
Yeah, I know.
I think the Yankee fans probably would have rather the Squirrel be at shortstop than Anthony Volpe.
Well, I'll tell you, he was running his nuts off. I'll tell you that much right there.
Ah,
Yeah, but
crack
up
that
to him.
baby open.
Yeah, we could crack that nut. Moving on to something a little bit more squirrely. Uh, Walker Buehler, our $20 million number 2 starter, has been regulated now to the bullpen. And my question for you, Nick Face, will start with you. Do you think Walker can now be a little bit more effective in shorter stints, that he's not going to be in the rotation anymore? Or is he a lost cause?
All of you want me to say yes. You want me to say it's so bad, Red Sox faithful. Nope, ain't happening. Not here. This guy is all in his head. It's up here. It's all mental with Walker Buehler. I don't know what's up with him. There is loose screws or something going on up there. And he is just like his comment and everything he said today. He got a little down, but then he's like, I'm going to be a team player and just go figure it out there. I think something happened when he was a Dodger and something he lost something going on in there. And this has been nothing but a disaster here for the Red Sox and having to deal with Buehler. Now, he does have some postseason experience. I'm not going to take that away. He did end the World Series last season. I get it. So if you do need long relief, which this team does desperately, you could have worse options. You could have Jordan Hicks go back out there to long relief versus Walker Buehler. Me, I'm going to give Walker Buehler at least a chance. So I'm not fully done, but it's slim pickings right now on how long I have on my leash if Buehler does fail in a long relief sort of role here. And I don't know about you guys, but that's the only place that I would probably feel okay with him going into. I'm not looking for him to be a setup guy. I'm not looking for him to get innings that matter. I'm not looking for that. He needs to earn it. He needs to be in mop-up to start. 6-1, 7-1 Sox, or heck, if it goes the other way, say the Red Sox just don't show up and they get annihilated. Then you put him out there and see if he can work through it. Because now you have a couple decisions that you'll be making, and I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit too. You do have Richard Fitz who's up here, and that could be an option. Probably will be the option if they don't use him tomorrow. Or Kyle Harrison. That's your other option that you have, your guy that you got in the Devers trade. So I'd love Cooper Criswell. He's on the IL for the minor leagues. It ain't going to happen there. Payton Tolle, I don't think's ready yet. He did throw great again today, but I don't think that they want to rush him into a starting position here. If they do anything, it's when rosters expand and if they want to do something leading into the postseason as another weapon of sorts in the pen. But that's kind of the outlook that I have on it right now. It's a wait and see kind of game, but my leash is like that much. That much.
Nick Diamond, similar question for you. Walker Buehler to the bullpen now. Is this something that could invigorate him to become a little bit more dependable, or is this just about the Red Sox hiding him?
I think it's more of the Red Sox hiding him. I mean, it could invigorate him. It could make him back to the postseason pitcher we've seen in the past. But if I'm being honest right now, he really has nothing left. He has like 7 pitches and they all suck. And that's being generous. They're one of the worst pitches in the league. Every time I watch him, he's got one of the new contenders for one of the worst pitches of all time. He throws like a 92-mile-per-hour meatball right down the middle that he gives up a bomb for. Walker Buehler does not deserve to be in the bullpen over Richard Fitz, over Kyle Harrison, or Payton Tolle. I just tweeted it out right now. I don't think it's a hot take that Payton Tolle is probably the best pitcher out there. He probably deserves a starting rotation. I think it'll be given to Kyle Harrison, but I think if you want to give it to the best guy, the guy with the most upside, I think it should be Payton Tolle at this point. Because neither of them are going to pitch in the playoffs right now. It's just to get to the playoffs. Pitch your best pitcher out there, and then if Payton Tolle dominates, if he's a good pitcher, you put him in the bullpen. If not, you send him back down to AAA. I think you go with your highest upside right now. I want to win games.
Yeah, I agree with you too. We got to put the best 26 guys on that major league roster. And, this is not a time for the Red Sox to try to get Walker Buehler right. He is here for another 6 weeks. He will be a free agent. The Red Sox will not bring him back. He will not re-sign here. He will not be offered a contract. He will be as done as Corey Kluber and all the other stiffs that came before him. This is over. I just don't understand why he hasn't been DFA'd yet, because in my professional opinion, I don't know what purpose, to Nick Diamond's point, he's going to serve in this bullpen. I don't care whether the Red Sox are up 6 or 8 runs or not. Nick, go ahead.
There are 2 spots in this there's 2 spots on this roster that should be DFA'd in the next week or so, and it should be Walker Buehler because he serves no purpose on this roster. He's not going to be a mop-up guy. There's better spots. There's better people for that. Kyle Harrison, I'd rather have him. I'd rather have Dick Fitz as your mop-up guy. And then Masataka Yoshida. If you want to go make the playoffs, you DFA both of them tonight. I know it's not going to happen. But before September 1st, they both should not be on the roster because there's better options. I'd rather keep the password up when Willier is back than Masataka Yoshida. He's just a better player. At this point, I know he didn't get his hit tonight. He didn't get a home run tonight. He didn't do anything tonight, but I'd rather have him than Masataka Yoshida. I mean, I'd rather just put the best 26th man on the roster right now, and on September 1st, you put your best 28 man on the roster, and that's probably the password, and that's not Masataka Yoshida, and that's not Walker Buehler.
This is the problem with the Red Sox generation now and the way that they're running their organization versus 20 years ago. 20 years ago, they wouldn't stand for these types of players that are meaningless to the wins that could come from the Red Sox. Masataka Yoshida is probably one of the worst signings that this organization has had, and they've had quite a number of them, including the Carl Crawfords of the world and the so forth. So I just he serves no purpose. He should have probably never even been brought back here, even after the Devers trade. So we'll see how that goes. But kind of parlaying what you guys were talking about, so I'll start with that next. Craig Breslow did have a comment on Payton Tolle earlier today, and he said, "We don't anticipate that the stage is too big for him, so if we think he's ready, we wouldn't hesitate to give him a shot." Nick Diamond, since you've been talking quite a bit about him and researched him a little bit more, what do you think the odds are that they would actually engage in bringing him up maybe after September 1st?
I think there's a shot that he's brought up before that.
Okay.
I know David Sandlin was the guy that was brought to the bullpen to work as a bullpen guy. I think that was their guy they were envisioning on September 1st being the next bullpen guy up. Because I know Luis Guerrero's not been effective and hurt. Kelly's been not effective and hurt. Ran, who we just saw, really didn't impress anybody. So I think it was between Sandlin and then Criswell, and Criswell is the guy who got hurt too. I think there's a chance that Payton Tolle will come up now that Walker Buehler's moved to the bullpen. But I wouldn't bring him up as a bullpen guy. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't put him in as a bullpen guy. I wouldn't um, limit his innings. You put him out there as maybe an opener for 4-5 innings, and then you bring in um, Garrett Whitlock for 2. Like, I don't know. I think you have to stretch a guy out like that if you're going to try to make the playoffs down the stretch. You go with your best players. Payton Tolle is definitely better than Kyle Harrison, in my opinion. Kyle Harrison has so much major league. Just look him up. He's had so many major league innings already. He's not been good at all. I don't care what Andrew Bailey has to say about him. I don't think he can change him. If you have that many major league innings, there's not much you can do. Once the major league hitters have already seen you, there's not much you can do to change a guy. So I'm not really out here banking on a Kyle Harrison. I'm looking at Payton Tolle. I'm looking at a Sandlin kind of guy to make the difference up down the stretch. Yeah, I hope it's Payton Tolle. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept him down. I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled him up, but I don't think they're going to put him in a relief role. He's either that 5 starter or he's nothing. That's in my opinion right there.
Yeah, as far as Kyle Harrison's concerned, I mean, he's looked good. He's turned it around a little bit, in the minor leagues, but I don't think that's an experiment to do now with 5.5, 6 weeks left in the Major League Baseball season. If you want to go, let him continue on, maybe play winter ball, get him ready for spring training, see what you got with him in the spring as a possibility of a number 5 guy or whatnot. But this is not the time to do that. As you've said clearly many times, we need to get the best 26 players on that roster. With your thoughts, though, I want to bring this to Nick Face. In 2008, the Tampa Bay Devil, I think they were the Tampa Bay Rays at that time still, but the Tampa Bay Rays in 2008, if you recall, brought up a minor leaguer by the name of David Price, and he pitched out of the bullpen, very similar to Chris Sale did when he was a rookie. And David Price, I'll never forget, really made the Red Sox look terrible during the playoffs. What do you think about the possibility of Tolle coming in a bullpen situation like that, just because it's this year, get his feet wet in playoff contention, so that he can experience that, and then maybe the Red Sox turn around, make him a starter next year?
I think the biggest thing that I don't think Nick brought this up either. The statement by Breslow, that surprised me today the most because In typical Red Sox fashion, usually they never answer the proper question. They never really give us a definitive yes or no. This was pretty decisive today, which led me to believe they are heavily considering utilizing Payton Tolle very soon. To be eligible for the playoffs, he would need to be up here before September 1st. Is that correct?
Believe so, Nick. Is that right? Yeah.
So he
Yes.
would need to be here within 8 days.
Well, he
It's
needs to be
now
on the
the
40-man
22nd,
roster. He does not need to be on the major league roster. He needs to be on the 40-man roster, which he's not yet.
and he is not yet. That's
Yes.
okay. That's the other thing
So
I
he
was
just
going to
needs to be on
mention
the
here too.
40-man.
So they need to get busy here on what they're going to do with this sort of situation. So I am
Is there
very much thinking
is there
he'll be
40-man
here.
filled? Is there 40-man filled right now?
Marcelo Meyer has not been moved to the 60-day IL yet, so no.
Okay.
But I assume
That
they
could be
would
the move.
they would move Marcelo Meyer with a position player, but you never know.
Nick Face, keep going. I'm sorry to cut you out there.
So that was the biggest statement there was with Breslow with coming out and saying this. There was no shot down that said, nope, he's in the minors. He just got up to Worcester. He's got to focus on development there. That would have been the classic Red Sox approach to kind of get out of Dodge. Don't have to worry about anybody speculating about Payton Tolle. We're allowed to speculate here, guys. I mean, this is hot because this is something they want to do, and I am all for it. I love the comparison, Jim, that you brought up on David Price. Never forget, 2008 was one of those seasons that slipped right out of the Red Sox hands. It was right there. We had Game 7, and we lost against James Shields.
If Josh
Big game.
Beckett was
No,
healthy,
not James Shields.
they win that World
No, it
Series.
was Matt Garza. It was Matt Garza.
Yep, Matt
We lost against
Garza.
Matt Garza. That's what it was. But having David Price in that pen, I believe David Price closed out that game in 2008. I mean,
Yes, he
2000,
did.
2008 in the Game 7. And he made the Red Sox look like fools. So he did. And I think much in point with what you said, Nick, too. If Kyle Harrison was going to be something, he had his old pitching coach right here in Boston right now, in Andrew Bailey. If Bailey had that much confidence to fix him, don't you think he'd already be here?
Yeah, good point.
Here's
Nick,
one more
don't
thing
you?
I want to say about Payton Tolle. I know Breslow and the Joe Ryan thing. I know Breslow fell in love with Joe Ryan and he didn't seal the deal. And I guess it was one of the things that he didn't want to include Payton Tolle. If he loves Payton Tolle this much, what does he think about him? It looks like he wants to bring him up this year. And that makes me think that if we're going to trust Breslow in one thing, it's left-handed pitchers. I think I'm going to trust him and Payton Tolle for this one. I hope he's this good. I hope he's good enough to go out there and pitch in a pennant race. And the stage is not too big for him. I hope he's right.
The other thing, you kind of like step back for a moment and look at this 2025 season. There's a lot of things that happened this year that really surprised me in terms of what I kind of beat the Red Sox up about. And that goes without saying, as well as not wanting to bring up some of the minor league players because of starting service time. And they did that. They brought up Meyer. They brought up Roman Anthony. Now they brought up Jhostynxon Garcia. So, they made at least, the Devers trade, good, bad, or indifferent. Uh, we could talk about the Chris Sale trade. We could talk about the Garrett Crochet trade. As much as we kind of railroad, Breslow as the GM or, baseball operators here, he's done work. He's done stuff that I didn't expect this team to do and probably things that Chaim Bloom would have never done. So I do want to give him a little bit of credit. And the reason why I'm kind of parlaying into that is it would not surprise me if Payton Tolle's on this roster, in the next couple days, because I truly believe that Breslow does now at this point, once he kind of got the okay, that I think something happened. A conversation had to happen where they said, let's go for it. Whether it was ownership and management or Alex Cora, something happened somewhere where they said, let's do this. Because I just feel like if Chaim Bloom was still here, you wouldn't have seen Roman Anthony on the major league roster. I don't think you would have seen Garcia on the major league roster. They would have gotten some other, guy off the scrap heap and brought him in, and these guys would have been there. And then you run the risk of whoever might become a Rule 5 guy. So I just think that there's a very strong possibility that he comes up. And the other part of it is, too, if you give him some major league experience and if he can be on your postseason roster and get some experience there, the Red Sox are going to learn whether or not they think that he's got some intangibles to be a starter in 2026. And now you completely change the landscape when you're going to try to negotiate maybe for a Joe Ryan or any other starter from another team where you don't have that urgency anymore because you've got someone that you feel pretty confident in Tolle, and you can maybe kind of control that trade talk a little bit. Nick Diamond, I think you had a comment.
No, I didn't really have a comment there. I just I think he's coming up no matter what.
Yeah.
I think they've already
I
made the
do too.
decision at this
Yeah.
point. I think it's coming up no matter what, whether it's September 1st or it's in the next 2 weeks or before the next 2 weeks. I think he could come up instead of Kyle Harrison. I really do. Like, I think there's a chance maybe they limit his innings. He goes 4 innings and they go with it's perfect. It's a perfect thing. They can go Walker Buehler for 2 innings after Payton Tolle. They want to use Tolle as that opener. Like they can still give Walker Buehler a role, but they're going to diminish it. I think that's perfect for him, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think Walker Buehler should be banished off the face of this earth at this point, but I think that's probably something they're going to go with.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think there's definitely, some benefit to, bringing him up and just getting his feet wet. I think it's going to be important with all these young guys. I do want to move on just a little bit to the next topic, and, obviously it's probably one of the biggest ones today, but Jhostynxon Garcia was in his first major league game. He was actually brought up yesterday but didn't get into the game. Wilyer Abreu has been placed on the injured list with a calf issue, and they did say that he would return as soon as possible. Garcia was on base today, and he looked fine in the outfield. Didn't get a major league hit yet, but Nick Face, what's your reactions to Garcia in the lineup and batting fifth?
I was surprised on that. I know a lot of this had to do with Roman Anthony was under the weather. That's what Alex Cora said, whatever that means. So they put him into the outfield, batted him fifth. It's gonna take him some time. I don't want to get all up in arms if we start seeing nothing out of the gate for Garcia. Let's hold our roll, slow our roll, number one. And remember, Roman Anthony didn't do really anything when he first came up. He needed a couple weeks to get himself settled. I'm kind of getting a little soft now as I see some of these guys start to develop. And I've always been an instant. I need to see this right out of the gate. I need to make sure that this player's doing X, Y, and Z. Right now, for his role, he's in for Abreu. He's going to be in probably against lefties. Who knows? Maybe he'll pinch hit a little bit here and there. I don't see a large role for him as the season progresses here. He's just here out of necessity because we need another person. So I want him to succeed. Don't get me wrong. And I think over time he'll be fine. But I don't think we're going to see the same comparison here on Roman Anthony versus Garcia. So I want to make sure fans stay calm. It's not the same player. He has potential to be good, but I think we need to play it out here and see what happens.
Nick Diamond, similar question to you. Is Garcia an impact up and coming player, or is he going to be more of a nice platoon or everyday Trot Nixon type player moving forward?
I think I have a little bit of a different of a take here. I think Garcia or the password, whatever you want to call him, is going to be closer towards the Rob Refsnyder role than the Willie or Brayer role. I think he's only going to face lefties. I think that's why we saw him in the 5 spot today. I think he won't even play tomorrow against Will Warren. I think the next time we see him will be Sunday against Carlos Rodon. And I think he goes directly back down when whoever's up first, Rob Refsnyder or Willie Abreu. Um, I think there's a lot of talk about the password being an everyday outfielder next year, and I think that's a little ridiculous. I think his strikeout rate is still way too high. Um, I think there's a lot of question marks about his swing and miss potential. Um, and I saw a couple hot takes about like Willie Abreu and Duran being traded this offseason. I don't think that is something you go with. I think if Garcia is anything, he's a later season call up. I don't think he's going to be an impact bat to start the season. And to be honest, this year, I think this is going to be a short stint for him. As long as Ref Snyder and Willier come back somewhat soon, I don't think he's going to have any shot to make a playoff roster if that's something the Red Sox are going to be doing.
Moving right along to our next topic, Aroldis Chapman, 1-2-3 again, twice yesterday and today. He has been outstanding. I think he has surprised a lot of Red Sox fans this year who have looked at his numbers over the last couple of years and the number of walks that he has allowed and a lot of traffic in his outings. He has absolutely diminished any of those bad memories. He has been probably one of the best closers in baseball this season. And you brought it up a little bit, Nick Diamond. So I'll open with you. Is he better than Koji Uehara in 2023? I had a couple weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, I put a tweet out with both of them, and what you saw was he was trending to have a very, very similar season.
So if you want to go straight off earn run average ERA, tonight, a 1-2-3 inning save by Aroldis Chapman got his season ERA down to 1.08. If you go back to 2013, where Koji Uehara finished 7th in the Cy Young and 19th in MVP voting, he had a 1.09. If you go with Chapman, he has a higher K per 9 by a decent amount. Koji walked nobody, so I don't think there's anybody that's going to ever compete with his walks per 9. But in that season, a 0.6, which is unheard of. I'll give Koji the benefit of doubt there. But the strikeout percentage, it's going to be Chapman. The ERA, it's going to be Chapman. If you go with the ERA plus, it's about the same. That is a league-wide stat where it's a league average, so that's how good you are above the league average arm. So
Was he in
that
the
is
200s? Was he in the 200s,
they
Nick?
both are in the 350s.
Wow.
In 2013, Uehara was at 379. Chapman's about 360 something right now. Baseball Reference doesn't update right away. It's gonna wait till tomorrow morning, but it'll be about 360 by tomorrow morning. So yeah, they're very, very close. Koji didn't walk anybody. Chapman strikes out the world. This is a very, very cool race to keep, to keep part of here. Koji was dominant in the playoffs, which is really something that we kind of forget. He had that one bad adding, the Jose Lobaton home run. Besides that, he was pretty dominant. So we'll see how Chapman gets this year. It's cool to see him shutting out the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. Something I was a little bit nervous about him coming back to Yankee Stadium with the Yankee fans, but he shoved it right up their butts tonight. So good for Chapman.
Nick Face, 30 seconds. Your take on Chapman.
I loved Koji. 2013 was just such a peace of mind. It was 9 pitches. You're done. I didn't have to worry about it. A guy that never was thought of as a closer jumped in. He was like the 4th guy up after all of our disasters that we had for that season and absolutely flourished in that role. I want to say Chapman is going to be in that same category, but there's one caveat to that. The caveat is go win the World Series.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in
It's on Chapman.
2013, I think Joel Hanrahan was the guy that we had traded for. And
I
it
think it was
was
Hanrahan, then Bailey. They
yes.
both had chances that year.
Bailey
Yep.
got hurt. Bailey got hurt. Hanrahan got hurt. Then we gave it to, I think, was
Andrew Miller.
Zawa or was around
Andrew
then?
Miller was in there, Tolle was in there too.
Yeah, Andrew Miller
Yeah,
was
it
in there
was
too. Yep.
crazy.
Manny Del Carmen.
He might have
That
been
might
in
have
there
been another
too.
one. That might have been the last year
Yeah.
of Manny Del Carmen.
Next topic, real quick, 30 seconds. Nick Diamond, Justin Slaten pitched again today. He had one unearned run and fanned 2 in 1 inning. If he comes back, tell me about. I mean, I think it would be a formidable weapon. Him in the 7th, Whitlock in the 8th, Chapman in the 9th. It's got to be probably one of the best back end bullpens in the game. No.
I agree. You need Justin Slaten back. He would make this team way deeper. If you're just trusting Chapman and Whitlock in the 8th and in the 9th, I think you are going to lose a lot of games in the playoffs because I don't trust Bello and Giolito to get 7 innings. Absolutely not. 6 at most, 5 would be great. Justin Wilson starting to come back down to the mean kind of. But if Justin Slaten can step back right in that 7th inning role, the Red Sox will look great. The bullpen's been kind of a strength. At least their high leverage arms have been a strength this season. The low leverage guys like Akala and etc. have been terrible, but the high leverage guys have been great. If we can get Justin Slaten back how he was, at least at his prime. I know he had a little bit of a mess up this year where he had like a 5-6 outing hiccup, but when he's good, he's good. So if we can get him good, the Red Sox have a good chance to make the playoffs this season. As long as we're looking good. I think tonight we passed the Yankees. We're now a half game up on them. If we can get the home field advantage and we play the Yankees in the first round, I will feel confident. I mean, since 2004, the Red Sox have pretty much dominated the Yankees in the playoffs.
Nick, take 30. Nick Face, 30 seconds on your take.
Biggest thing here for Slaten is health. He's been injury prone. There's been countless opportunities here that he's been getting. When he's on, great. I have no issues with it. We want him back here to lengthen out this pen. I don't think he goes into the 8th. I think that's Whitlock's. Don't touch him from that. Don't. That is his spot. But if they need to go, Whitlock's got the first game, Slaten's got the second, do some sort of a rotation of sorts there and make it work, you'll be in good shape. I do have faith in Slaten getting back, and it'll be a big boost to the pen on another quality arm that they can attack.
Yeah, totally agree. A couple chats. Dave DePerry says Harrison, I guess, totally in the pen. Wilson's been struggling a little. I don't want to wear down Matt's. I agree. They've been relying on Wilson way too much. Matt's, I don't know. He's just been there, kind of like, I don't know, like a pimple that won't go away. I don't know. I don't have really a lot of faith in him. He's been okay. I just didn't like the fact that he gives up a home run to a lefty. That's a bigger issue. And then finally, Boston Maniacs, to give you a little credit there. You want to come on? Well, if you do become a founding member of Red Sox Digest at redsoxdigest.com, you are invited for a free episode to come on with us and chat.
It's a $500
It's $500 fee per month. No, to be able to do that. Final thing tonight, just to kind of talk about tomorrow's game. Crochet against Warren. Nick Diamond, 30 seconds. Your prediction.
Let's win. Crochet dominates again. Let's go. Let's win. I mean, I don't think I would have taken this 2-3 days ago, but after two nice close game wins, let's go win tomorrow. Why not?
Exactly. Nick Face, 30 seconds.
We have a chance to actually sweep the Yankees after the Orioles just swept us at Fenway. How like funny is that? Maybe not funny, but how like ridiculous is that? I guess that's the word.
I got one more hot
It
take
just
here.
it's crazy.
I think the Orioles have a chance to do something crazy. I don't think they're bad. I really think they're a good team. I think I predict them to win the
Mm.
division going into this season. I really think they have a decent team going forward. I mean, I know it's probably a little too late, but
It
I
wa
wouldn't be surprised if they finish around 500.
it was just a bad first
It was a
half, and
bad like
nothing
30
was
games.
going their
They
way.
went
Yep,
like 10-20 to start. They just
yep,
had a bad 30 games. They had
yep.
no pitching.
Yeah, to your point, Nick Face, it'd be great to do a 4-game sweep of New York in Yankee Stadium. They swept in Fenway Park, I believe it was, in June. So let's keep this going. Very important game tomorrow because at this point, a split almost feels like it's a waste. So especially when you got, probably one of the two best starters in the game going tomorrow. So let's take 3 out of 4 minimally. If we can sweep them, all the best. But you know how Core is going to be on Sunday with his B lineup, so we'll have to watch for that. That being said, I'd just like to remind everybody, please definitely go ahead to our website at redsoxdigest.com and subscribe to be a member of our daily newsletter where we have recaps of the games as well as our Fenway flashback, talking about the 1975 Red Sox season. And hopefully you sign up for that. Nick, go ahead.
We forgot our one thing, and I do have
Do
one
you?
person
All
to
right, all
be
right,
our
all right. Hold on a
partner.
minute. Let me get the music going. All right.
Play it,
And now
play
it's
it,
time
Alex.
for everyone's favorite segment, the Dugout Dipshits.
Nick Face, who's your dugout
All right,
dipshit of the
here it
day?
is. So we had some interesting live chats that were going on tonight for some weird reason that we haven't seen from before. I'm going to give it to David DePerry. He's going back and forth with us, and I was talking about David Price on how he was a weapon for the Rays in 2008. His comment was he didn't make them look like fools. They had the bases loaded, and he struck out JD Drew on a pitch that was a ball. That's the point. He struck out JD standing there like a statue. Drew. That's the point. They also lost. I don't celebrate losers. I just don't. 2003, same deal. It was a heartbreak. Tim Wakefield gave up the home run to Aaron Boone. I don't celebrate that. I don't have a trophy in my room that says, "Oh, look at this wonderful wild card win." Same goes for 2000. I don't celebrate that. No. So you are in the dugout, my friend. Sorry. Thank you for chatting tonight, but don't make dumb comments.
That's going to wrap it up for tonight. I'd like to thank Nick and Nick being on the broadcast, as well as all our listeners and our people in the chat. We will have a great night. Let's go crochet tomorrow, and we will be back with you on Sunday night to recap the rest of this series. Have a great night, and we'll see you Sunday.